All right, let's get straight into today and talk about whether or not Amazon is still worth it in 2021 or not. Let's get into the truth. So the first point I want to talk about today, and it's really, really important, is at a very fundamental level, Amazon, the market around Amazon is still growing all the time. I'm going to give you some really important numbers now just to understand just how much this market is growing and why it's a great place for you to sell your own products in 2021 and beyond. And also, I'm going to get in on point number 3 today into the different business models and stuff like that, as well as a lot of other things. So this video is going to be action-packed. Let's take a look at this first piece. So what we have right here is the annual net revenue of Amazon for 2004 to 2020. I started selling on Amazon back in 2010. As you can see here, it was $34.2 billion in revenue on Amazon at that time. In 2020, because obviously 2021 is not finished yet, we're at $386 billion was sold on Amazon. Now, the interesting thing is that in 2019, we had 280 billion. So it grew by 100 billion, over 100 billion in revenue inside that year. And obviously we did have coronavirus and things like that kicking off back in March 2020. And so you can see that it was already growing before, in that in 2018, it was 232 billion. Up to 280 then in 2019. And obviously you do see a big jump last year because of what happened in the world. So the first thing to show you here then is that it's growing. And the second thing to mention is that in Marketplace Superheroes, we started teaching this back in 2015. It was $107 billion at that time, which is still a considerable market. And 2020, 386. So the market has almost quadrupled in terms of size since we started teaching this process. And some people might say, well, the competition is quadrupled or whatever, which just is not necessarily the case. But the market has grown and is growing at an exponential rate. So anybody tells you it's saturated or anything, point to this graph. This graph is growing. Something that's saturated, the graph would not be growing. Next thing to mention here is the annual fulfillment expenses of Amazon. And this relates to the amount of money Amazon actually pay to do their shipping to the customer. It would include shipping our products as well as their own products as well. And you can see that the cost of fulfillment has risen quite dramatically. And that doesn't mean that it's more expensive to fulfill products to customers. It actually means that they're shipping more. Therefore, their expenses are rising. They're opening more warehouses and stuff like that. So again, further proof that Amazon is growing every single year, and further, I suppose, fuel for you watching this today to understand, okay, this is a growing market, this is where I want to be. I think it's really important also to mention that Prime customers are growing on Amazon too. And Prime customers, if you don't know what that means, is it's people that have a Prime account. And a Prime account at a very simple level is something you pay for every year, and it gets you faster shipping on products, gets you access to things like Prime Video, which is kind of like Netflix, as well as a whole host of other really important cool additions. The biggest thing from our perspective as an Amazon seller is the fact that basically when somebody has a Prime account and you're using Amazon FBA, meaning you've got your own products in Amazon's warehouses, you get access to the Prime program. Your products qualify for that, which means you get faster shipping and you really look and feel like Amazon from the customer standpoint. And as you can see on screen right now, there's 112 million Prime customers. That's in 2019. The latest numbers are not really very reliable, therefore I'm not going to give them to you today, but it's rising every single time. Probably more like 120 million people now, or maybe even more. I'll have to look at those numbers as they become available, but that is humongous. These are people paying Amazon to stay in the Amazon platform, and it's huge for you and me because obviously our products are on there and we're selling them. Again, if Amazon FBA was dead, was gone, this number would be decreasing. People would be falling away, would not be growing, but it's growing every single year. And there you go. So that's a lot on the numbers. Let's move on to other things that are important for you today as you consider whether you should build your business selling on Amazon or not. Now, one of the big concerns for you right now has likely been or is coronavirus and its impact on selling on Amazon. Obviously, it changed a lot of how the world operates in that shops had to close. Everything pretty much had to close in the world for a number of months back in March 2020 through to the summer 2020. And even now, as I make this video, a lot of places are beginning to open up. Even here in Ireland, we're slowly starting to open up, but still we're nowhere near where we were. And as well as that, the behavior of people is changing forever. If you look at Amazon as well, there's loads of articles on this, like The Guardian, a very trusted publication, as well as like Forbes, another pretty trusted publication in the business space, and they all talk about, these numbers numbers that are going and pointing towards Amazon's explosive growth during the pandemic. And the thing to understand is when we look back at the old graph of the growth of sales in Amazon 2020, you can see that jump. And that jump is not necessarily going to keep on multiplying like it did. But at the same time, are people going to go back to buying in shops the way we used to and completely change and go back to our old ways? I don't think it's likely. Sure enough, there's going to be more people buying at retail when retail opens up fully around the world, but it's never going to go back to where it was before. And that's an important point for you as you consider whether or not you should start selling on Amazon in 2021 and beyond. And so to me, coronavirus has definitely pushed on the growth of Amazon as a platform. And it's also important to mention that right now of total e-commerce sales, Amazon currently does 43 to 50%. So almost one in every two sales made on the internet are currently made on the Amazon platform. So again, if you were not selling there, you're giving up a lot of the real estate in terms of selling online right now. And it's important to mention as well that 23% of all product searches start on Amazon. So a lot of people are not even using Google anymore. They're jumping straight over to Amazon and searching for a specific product. So again, if your products are not on that platform, you're missing out on 23% of the people in the world who are currently searching there for product. Again, Amazon in 2021 is absolutely growing. It's where you want to be. It's where you should be. But let's move on and talk about some of the specific business models now and how they've been impacted or how they will be impacted this year and in the future. So let's talk about some of the main business models on Amazon. There's three we're going to talk about today: private label, we're going to talk about arbitrage, and we're going to talk about wholesale as well. And just before I explain the private label business model to you, I want you to do me one quick favor. Jump down below, give this video a real quick like, and hey, hashtag value in the comments if you're getting value so far. But do keep watching. Let's get into private label. So the first one is private label. That's what we teach at Marketplace Superheroes. We're at a really basic level. You go onto Amazon, like I am on screen right now. Let's say we're looking at these drawing mannequins. We find that the market for, say, this product right here, it makes sense for us to sell. There's not that much competition. We can make a better offer for that product on Amazon. And basically, we are able to put our own brand on this type of a product. And we wouldn't sell the exact same product. Obviously, we'd find something that looks cosmetically a little bit different, but we put our own brand, we create our own brand, we get it manufactured in China. So that's what private label is at a very basic level. We've tons of videos on the channel all about how it works, how it's explained, and everything else. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on that. All I will tell you is that this is the way I believe most people should be selling in the future. Now, sure enough, if you look at other business models, there is a little bit more quote unquote risk here in that you are investing in multiple products that you're going to bring in at any one time. As in this drawing mannequin, you might have to bring in a couple of hundred of those and sell them on Amazon. Now, again, what we teach at Marketplace Superheroes is taking that same product and selling them in multiple countries at the exact same time, which brings down your risk, helps you sell more products a lot more quickly, and you're leveraging Amazon every step of the way. So that's what that model is. Now, the problem with private label with a lot of people is they don't actually take that multiple country approach. They only sell in Amazon.com. And a lot of people, even on YouTube, that are educating this space, they will only tell you to sell on Amazon.com. And you're missing out on a massive potential. Because if you consider something like the rule of 5 that we teach at Marketplace Superheroes, which basically just means if you've got 5 Amazon products, you sell them in 5 Amazon countries at the exact same time, you make 5 sales per product per day, per country, and you're making an average net profit of $5 every time you make a sale. That's 5 by 5 by 5 by 5. If you multiply that out over a 30-day average period of a month, that's $18,750 in net profit before tax. That's not in sales. And so that's the power of having a small number of products in a small number of countries, making a small number of sales every single day. And that's really how we look at private label. Most people out there that tell you Amazon in 2021, private label is too hard to do, it's not worth doing, they're really talking about a completely different business model. And I'll show you an example of what they're talking about. So what a lot of people are teaching is you look at something like this, I don't know, jump rope or fitness jump rope. I wonder if we get rid of that, what would happen? So again, yeah, so jump rope, whatever the keyword is, they're basically saying go here and then see the way these products all kind of look the same. This little red color here, same as this product right here. everybody pretty much looks the same. Some people try to do things that are slightly different, but essentially it's the same product over and over and over again. And the idea here is that like products like this one here, there are 147 sports and outdoors. So they're selling hundreds, if not thousands of units every single day. And all of these products are making sales on Amazon. So number one, what does it tell you? Well, the size of the Amazon market is absolutely huge because all of these jump ropes are all making a lot of sales. The problem, however, is whenever you and I go in here and we want to be successful selling a product like this, the trouble is it's too what we call confused. You don't know which product to sell. The customer that's coming on has so much choice, they're not too sure which one to purchase. And this is what a lot of people are teaching you to do on Amazon. And we talk about something called the iceberg method. And let me show you what that looks like. So I talk about this in some of my trainings. And really what I'm saying is a lot of people are telling you to focus here. Right? This is where the hackers focus, we call them. And there are people that are trying to sell these types of items. Ones like I just showed you, they're hot, trendy, winning items. The trouble with that is that's what everybody else is trying to do. They want to sell products that are making thousands of sales every day, and they want to celebrate that this big brand they've created in the yoga niche is just killing it or whatever, right? There's other people then who will say, well, that's a little bit too competitive. Let me show you how to find products that are less competitive and they're much better, quote unquote. And they focus at this point of the iceberg. It's in the middle. It's not the tip, it's the middle. It's still above the surface though, where everybody else is looking, everybody else is surveying the exact same area. And they'll tell you to sell stuff like this, these little pet bags, these little containers, like a camper seat, and they feel like they're a niche. They feel like less people are on the platform searching for them. But the problem is they're still way too competitive, too kitschy, not going to be around for too long. We, on the other hand, are going to show you how to search here beneath the surface of the iceberg. And the really cool thing about this is with the way we teach private label, the iceberg at the bottom is much bigger. Now at the same time, you don't want to be selling at the bottom of the iceberg. You want to be selling somewhere in the middle and in the middle towards the bottom of the iceberg is where you want to be. And so that's an important thing to understand. Now there's loads of videos on the channel you can watch. I'll show you a really quick hack for finding products that we would call Marketplace Superheroes approved. But essentially we're selling items that are lower in competition. There's less people trying to sell them, and it's just much simpler to sell. Final thing to mention about private label is when you understand the research methodology to finding these more iceberg, beneath the surface type products, you're gonna look at to invest about $800 to $3,000 maximum to launch a product across the world. Some people might think that's a lot of money, but it really isn't when you consider you're launching a global business for a very small amount of money. And in fact, I would recommend people start out at that kind of level, but quickly start moving towards investing in multiple products and getting their business really rocking, because going back to the rule of 5, if you only have one product, you're only selling it in one market, you're only experiencing a fraction of what's possible on Amazon. And equally, if you have one product and you're selling it in multiple markets, you're still only experiencing a fraction of what's possible, because the reality is when people start out and do their first item, most people do very well, but some people, they get it wrong, right? Their research is not perfect or whatever the case may be. So the product maybe doesn't go on and become an amazing winner. Maybe it sells out, but it takes 9 to 12 months to do so. So that's why when you have multiple items, when you're launching, you're giving yourself a bigger and bigger chance to be successful a lot quicker. And the final point today is some people will say, well, private label on Amazon in 2021, I can't be successful because there's too many fees, it's too expensive, blah, 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 blah. Number one, it's likely down to their research. They're selling products that are way too competitive. The margins have been squeezed because there's too many people coming into that space. That's number one. The second thing is most people do not calculate their profitability properly. I'm going to show you something really quickly that we have here at Marketplace Superheroes that makes that really simple. Okay, so this is our ecosystem, and within our ecosystem we have this thing called the sandbox. It's over here in the profit calculator area, then it's sandbox. And what you can do is you can enter in the size of your product, the weight of your product, how many items are in a box, the duty rate and all of that. Don't worry about these too much for now. I'm just going to do a quick calculation today just to show you what that would look like. Let's say you're going to sell in the US, that's your stock location. Let's say you're going to sell in the home and garden market. This actually understands then the commission you're going to pay to Amazon, which is important. Let's say you're selling for $25.99. That's what people are selling at on Amazon right now, so you're going to match them for their price. Let's say the cost price was, let's just put in $3 just to make it easy. Let's do that. Let's just say the longest side, 30 centimeters, 10 centimeters, and let's say 5 centimeters, and then just say the product weight is 0.5 kilogram. Let's say we can put 25 into an outer box. I'm just making up numbers, by the way, but it's just to really get to this place of calculating. So it now calculates all the different fees that go into selling your product on Amazon. And we break it down if you're doing a CLCL, which means you are using a freight forwarder and getting a portion of their container, an air freight, or if you're using our freight service, these are the different price points for all of that. It looks at the duty rate, which is based upon this percentage. Again, don't panic about this. It's easy to find. And all this information here comes from your supplier. So when you calculate it all out, it brings in your profit on investment and your profit on return. Let's just talk about your profit on investment. This is essentially going to be your return on investment. Now with these made up numbers, this would give you, with our freight service, a return on investment of 336%. So you would grow your money by 336% every time you make a sale. Now we're looking for 100% or more here for a product to be profitable, okay? Now that's obviously after we've done our research and whatnot. But these made up numbers, that's what it would give you. Obviously, these are very high because I've had a small weight and stuff like that there. But that's really what's important, understanding the sandbox, understanding your calculations. And most people, they will not figure out these importing costs. They will only talk about the referral fee from Amazon, the FBA per unit fee. They will not talk about any of this. And many do not even allow for sales tax. We allow for all those calculations here. So you can be absolutely sure and certain on the private label model, you know what you're doing. And in 2021 and beyond, this is vital. You absolutely must understand your profitability. Okay, I'm going to talk about arbitrage next because we've covered private label in pretty good detail. This is not something that we do at Marketplace Superheroes. Maybe we'll teach it in the future. We'll have to see. But what arbitrage basically means is that you would go to an offline or online place. You would find a product that you can buy at, let's say, $5. And then on Amazon, let's say that's selling for $20. So you calculate, well, if I can get that into FBA, store it there and make a sale, I can be profitable because I bought it for $5, I'm selling it for $20. Now that's overly simplified, but that's essentially what arbitrage is. So the good thing about that is there's less quote unquote upfront risk when it comes to purchasing your products. But the problem with retail or online arbitrage in 2021 and beyond is, and every arbitrager will tell you this, you have to keep looking for more deals. If you can't find more products where you can make money like I just talked about, you're going to struggle. Why? Because you got nothing to sell. So a lot of people, they aspire to private label, but a lot of people feel like they must go through arbitrage as like a rite of passage before going on to private label. That's just not the case. Most of our, if not all of our sellers on Marketplace Superheroes just started with private label. And again, it's not scalable, and that's the biggest problem with it. Am I saying it doesn't work or whatever in 2021 and beyond? Definitely not. Lots of people are making it work. But this is also where it gets interesting because people will tell you there's millions of sellers on the Amazon platform that are third-party sellers, and that is true, but most people are these types of sellers. They're selling a really small amount of products, they're buying them secondhand or whatever, and they're putting them on the platform. And a lot of those people come and go all the time. That's why those numbers are, what I would say, very inflated. We are private label focused sellers. This is arbitrage. And just in my opinion, this is not the way to build a long-term business. Certainly can work in the short term, but it's going to get more competitive as time goes on because people don't want risk. A lot of people don't want risk, but the reality is that those that are prepared to take a very small calculated risk get much bigger rewards in the long term. Final model to mention today is wholesaling on Amazon, which basically just means you find someone who has a quantity of pre-existing products. In other words, they already are selling on the Amazon platform. You were able to buy, let's say 10, 20, 100 of those from that wholesaler at a price and sell them on Amazon at a profit. Now, I like this model, it's pretty cool. However, just like retail arbitrage or online arbitrage, it's not very sustainable simply because what happens if that wholesaler runs out of stock of those items? We did this for many years, myself and Robert, when we first got started working together, and we made money, but we only made as much as the deals we could get access to would give us. If we couldn't find deals, we were no longer in business, and every wholesaler will tell you the exact same thing. Yet again, it's great because there's less risk, which a lot of people are really focused on. But if you're going to build a long-term business on this platform and you're going to get access to everything I've talked about with the private label model, you just can't do it with wholesale because you don't really control the product at all. You're just relying on the fact that a wholesaler has products and you can buy them. Next thing to mention is Amazon and its marketplace. That's where you and I would be selling if we're doing any of the three models I just talked about. And the important thing to understand about the Amazon marketplace is it's growing dramatically, and it's also becoming Amazon's biggest money earner, actually, outside of some of their other things like AWS and things like that. So I wanted to point out about the marketplace is what it says here. During the holiday season as a whole, small and medium-sized businesses in the UK sold nearly 1 billion products on Amazon store, adding that sales for independent businesses selling on Amazon grew over 50% compared to 2019. And this is really important to understand that, like, for Amazon, this is really valuable. And there's another thing to mention here as well, is the GMV. This is, as you can see here, the gross merchandise value of goods sold on Amazon. Analysts have done the calculations and estimate Amazon's GMV is 490 billion in total. About 300 billion of that is from third-party sellers. So again, pointing out that third-party people like you and me that are able to sell on the Amazon platform is where Amazon is making a lot of its money. So for anybody that tells you Amazon in 2021 and beyond, it's no good, it's saturated, Amazon are gonna go and like sell all the products themselves, it's a lot of crap. As you can see here, the numbers tell you the reality, which is most of the volume sold on Amazon platform is from third-party sellers. And it's estimated that the marketplace, the amount of people selling on there versus Amazon, it's like 60% or more of the total sales on the marketplace are from third-party merchants. And again, these numbers would back that up. So anybody tells any different, it's just not the reality. Final point on this is that Amazon has just surpassed Walmart as the biggest independent retailer in the United States right now. And that's a huge deal because for a long time, Amazon were chasing Walmart. Walmart obviously being very offline focused. And now Walmart is trying to catch up with Amazon with their very own marketplace. Now, that's something in the future that we can sell on, and it may be worth doing. We have a number of people on that platform right now, Walmart platform. It's just nowhere near as developed or as good as Amazon. But in time, maybe it will be. For now, Amazon is the king when it comes to online retail, and actually retail as a whole, it's becoming the king as well. So again, get on there and sell if you want to be successful. And so I want to give you one other piece of proof today to show you that Amazon 2021 and into the future is growing, even from our perspective. I've given you a lot of proof today, a lot of numbers, and I want to show you some numbers from our own community. So on screen, you can see here, we shipped 2 million items last year with our very own freight service. And in case you don't know, we also run a company called Superhero Freight. It's only available to members of our programs right now. And basically what we do is we ship our own containers from China to our warehouses, US, UK, Australia, and Canada as well. We've invested a lot of money into this, but last year, as you can see, we shipped 2 million items of our own and our members all together in that year. Now that does sound kind of impressive, but compared to Amazon, it's absolutely tiny as a whole when you look at the e-commerce market. Now this year in 2021, as you can see on screen, we're actually trending towards shipping 8 million items, and that's only with our community. And that's a really important thing to understand because our community has almost quadrupled the amount of things it shipped inside a year. Yet again, could it have done that if Amazon is not growing? Absolutely not. Could it have done it if people were not making sales on Amazon? Absolutely not, because we are now finding the reason that we're growing so rapidly is because many of the people in the 2 million are reordering their items. They're reshipping them back in, as well as new people shipping items. And it's creating this compounding growth within our shipping service, which is great, but also for our community and for you, it just shows you that people are growing. This is this is a trend that's continuing upwards and is going to continue to do so for the next number of years. It's going to be very difficult for other companies to knock Amazon off its perch and become somewhere better as a marketplace to sell in. And also finally, just to point out, that's going to produce about $140 to $160 million in sales within our community as that merchandise begins to sell and sell out. So that's pretty cool as well. Some really good numbers from our community, but also for you watching today to give you that bit of confidence to know, hey, this is something that is working. It's working for a lot of different people. And it's also showing that Amazon is absolutely the place to be. So I'm going to sign off for today. Make sure you do give this video a like down below. Also give us a comment and let us know, did you get value from today? If so, hashtag value down below to let us know that you got some of that. And if you're not currently a part of Marketplace Superheroes, there's links in the description and all that jazz. And also there's going to be some more videos coming up in just a second. So I recommend you watch some of those and learn even more about this model and learn about our research methodology as well. That's it for me. Thanks and goodbye.